When we got to the Bowling's trailer, Mike Burton interpreted for Charlie as he explained to us who had lived there.
All right, at the trailer.
Rocky lives here, but he's dead. Ryan lives in my old home over there.
Who does?
My mother and father's home. Yeah. Ryan's mother and father's home's right over there. You lived over there, and Brian lived over here with his mother and father. So this was Rocky's house.
As he was talking, Charlie was pointing towards the various locations he was describing. When talking about where Rocky Bowling, Brian's father, had lived, he pointed at the Bowling's trailer. When speaking about his own parents, he pointed across the highway towards the house he'd grown up in. And when he talked about Brian, he turned around and pointed up the hill to Kane Story's trailer. That, Charlie said, is where Brian had lived. At the time, this hadn't made any sense to us. Brian had lived here, at the trailer, where we were standing. He hadn't lived up the hill where Kane Story and his family had their trailer. So we asked Charlie if he knew someone had been shot at this trailer. Yes, he said, Ricky's brother. Then Charlie took us around to the back side of the trailer and walked up towards the window of the bedroom where Brian had been shot.
There's the window where they were on the telephone. Yeah, that window right there.
Which window is Brian's window?
It wasn't Brian. Brian didn't live here. He wasn't had nothing to do with this. It was Ricky.
So what is he showing us back here?
Yeah, Ricky's brother. That was his room.
Charlie insisted over and over that Brian had not died at this trailer. That had been a different boy that died here.
He knows Brian was killed though, right?
He said Ricky was killed over there, not here. Tell him. I mean, we should just tell him Brian was killed here. Or Brian died here.
Brian died here. No, Brian died at this house.
Ricky's brother killed himself right here. Brian died in my house. Shot himself in the mouth.
Does he know we want to talk about the night Brian died in this trailer?
All that happened at my house.
Someone tell him Brian Bowling died in this house.
No, he didn't. He died in my house.
We couldn't figure out why Charlie was so certain that Brian had died at Charlie's house, or why he believed Brian had lived up the hill behind the cemetery where Kane Story lived. We wanted to make sure that Charlie actually knew who Brian Bowling was. So we showed him a photo of Brian, taken not long before he died.
That's Ricky's brother. That's
Ricky's
Brian.
brother.
Yep. He killed himself while using the phone.
Yep.
Where did he die? He died here?
Yep. I loved him too. Ricky's brother shot himself while he was on the phone. Brian shot himself over at my house.
It took us a while before we finally understood what Charlie was trying to tell us. Our questions had been all wrong. We were the ones causing the confusion. Because when Charlie was talking about Brian, he was not talking about Brian Bowling. The boy that Charlie calls Brian was another boy altogether, a boy who had been killed at the Childers' house. But Charlie had known a second boy who'd been shot and killed. This boy had also been a good friend of Charlie's, but Charlie told us he had forgotten his name. Charlie identified him as Ricky's brother, but he was talking about Brian Bowling.
So when Ricky's brother died here, was he here?
I heard the gunshot. I jumped up, and then I took out and went straight home.
When Ricky's brother died here, was he in the living room?
Yeah, I was in the living room. I heard the gunshot. Yeah, I was scared. I heard the shot. It startled me, and I got out of here.